good morning, Kenya Diaspora Media family from wherever you're tuning in. My name is Esther from Leicester. Karibu sana for those who are joining in. Yes, it's been a couple of weeks. I've been kind of away, not necessarily away on a holiday, but away from the platform. But here I am again to bring back the spices of life. And today we are looking at this topic of how to cultivate commitment. How to cultivate commitment is the topic of today. Karibu sana Liz Ndegwa. You're saying you're tuned in. Karibu sana. Thank you for joining in, and thank you for joining in for the other numbers that I'm seeing. Karibuni sana. Thank you for joining in. My name is Esther from Leicester, and today we are talking about how to cultivate commitment, and it is in the area of well-being. I had started a topic on well-being a couple of weeks ago, maybe now a month, because I have missed for those 2 weeks. So let me know where you're tuning in from as you join in. Let me know where you're tuning in from, and karibu sana as we engaged in this topic. It's a good topic. It's a very good topic because we learn how to live this life with commitment. So karibuni sana. Now, I would like to ask you a question before I move on. How committed are you to you? And how committed are you to other people? How committed are you to you? And how committed are you to other people? And when I say other people, I mean people within your family, I mean people within your community, and I mean people within the world that we live in. And first and foremost, amongst all these people, you, others, I am asking also, how committed are you to the one who created you? Now, let me know if you're hearing me okay. Let me know that the sound is fine from where you are, so that we can be able to continue well. And I have those questions for you so that we can be able to kind of divide, or rather share, this message of commitment. It's important that I know how you are committed, how much you're committed to yourself, how much you're committed to others. And in the process of commitment to others, God is in the picture. He has to be in the bigger picture. I've always said, I talk about the spices of life. There is no way now I can be able to deviate from the spices itself. That's the framework I normally use. And I look at the spiritual aspect of our being. And that's where I'm going to start. Number one is the spiritual aspect of our being. How committed are you in your spiritual growth? Most of the people would like, I believe, not really think about the spiritual aspect of life. Most of the time, you would like just to continue with life in the physical sense without really considering or worrying about the spiritual aspect of our life. And they would like life to be that way. But one thing I know, there is no way we can avoid the spiritual aspect of our life, because one, yes, we are a spirit being before, we can even be a physical being. It's God who breathes this life in us. So we cannot avoid. This week, we've been mourning, in the UK, we've been mourning the death of Queen Elizabeth. She has lived a beautiful life according to what we see, what we have been shown in the media, because that's how we have lived with her in this life, because we do not know much about how her personal life was at the palace. But one of the things that has stood out in the process is that her faith was strong, that she believed in God. And I remember looking, or rather watching, The Crown, the movie that depicts her story, her life, and it was talking about her faith when one of the preachers from America came to see her. And when he came to see her, it showed her asking questions about Christianity. And of course, when you look at the way the coronation is done, the way the processes are done, the way the protocols are done, you will see the element of Christianity well put in that scenario. When I was thinking about this, I was also thinking about how she has really committed in serving the nation for 70 years as a queen, as a monarch, in the monarchy. And I was fascinated that the protocols, the traditions, the things that the church does and the things that the government does, all these things were brought together in that instant. You can see them throughout her life. You know, her life was dictated in a way by the protocols. I believe that many other times that maybe she felt like, today I don't want to wake up and do work, but because she had committed, and that's why the topic today is on how to cultivate commitment, because she had committed the day she was sworn in, the day she took that oath, she committed to serve the nation, she committed to serve the Commonwealth, she committed to serve who the monarchy was serving. Therefore, the aspect of commitment can be seen from different angles. The protocols that are there are important in guiding and leading in the way people commit. But there is also a sense of duty, because there are people who may not be able to really commit to the call because of various reasons. Now, Queen Elizabeth was not supposed to be queen because she was the daughter of a brother of the person who had been king before. But the king, because he had loved a woman who had been divorced, I believe, yes. So during that time, the rules were that a king could not marry a divorced woman. And therefore, that other king, the brother to the father of Queen Elizabeth, had to abdicate. I think that's the word. He had to leave the crown, he had to leave the kingship because of the woman that he loved. And therefore, Elizabeth's father had an opportunity to become king, and then Elizabeth had been given that opportunity to become the queen. But what is this all about? I'm saying there are things that could stop us from being committed to the call that we have, because we could be distracted by those things. And if those things mean more important things to us than the commitment to the cause that is right in front of us, then we will pursue to commit to the other and leave the other. Anyway, Queen Elizabeth is gone now. She has died, and her son has stepped in that shoe. It's not, I don't know, it's not the same, you know. That was the queen, and now it's a king. So there's a female, there's a male. But I don't know how much commitment Charles will have. Will he have the same level of commitment as the queen had? Will he be able to do the things that the queen was doing? It will be different. Now, let me bring the case for you and for me closer to home. You and I, like I said, are spiritual beings. Remember, I normally talk about the spices of life. And I've mentioned that the faith of the queen has been mentioned several times, regardless of the negative ideas that people could be putting on social media, you know, regardless of the history. You know, some people have brought up issues of history and say, oh, look, the queen, oh, the queen that. Commitment comes together with forgiveness. Yes, think of a relationship in a marriage. Commitment, if you want to live a spiritual life that is free and joyous, commitment must come together with the element of forgiveness. Yes, you and I can do things that are not right, but it doesn't mean we can live condemned in the things that are not right. We need to move on. When I think of a marriage relationship, I think of the same, you know. Commitment is about forgiving one another, because I'm committed to growing this relationship. I'm committed to living in this relationship. Then I must be able to be willing to put something in. I must be willing to sacrifice. I must be willing to forgive. I must be willing to communicate. I must be willing to be having that sense of duty in this commitment. There are protocols within marriage. There are traditions within marriage. In the same way the seasons come and go, in life there are also seasons that come and go. But within that setting where someone has committed, or rather has decided to commit, then you cannot be able to run away from your duties. You cannot be able to run away from what it is that you have committed. It may seem sometimes like, oh, you've walked away from that commitment, but in actual sense, in your mind and heart, if you're really committed into that thing, then your mind and heart will be telling you something about the commitment that you offered and the swearing in, the vows that you took to commit. So I am looking at the spiritual aspect. Our commitment to God will help us to remain in that relationship with God. It will help us to have a free life in terms of our spiritual growth and spiritual way of life. So that's a relationship number one that I was talking about, that we must start from where we set ourselves free to be able to have a relationship with God and commit to that relationship. It's not an easy thing to do, I can assure you that. It's something that tells you have to stay alert. You have to stay alert in your mind all the time, and your heart has to be set to be able to be thankful, to be able to commit to this being or this one God that you have committed to, and be able to follow the protocols that are within that set, individually and also as corporately together. And that's why we go to church. Sometimes people may wonder, why do people go to these churches? We don't just go to churches because it's a day, a Sunday or a Saturday or a Friday, for whichever days people go. We don't just go there for the sake of going there. We are committed to building the relationship that we have with God. And the way to build that relationship with God is to build a relationship with one another. The Bible clearly says, if we don't love other people, then how can we love a God that we've not seen? So we show God through fellowship with other people. We commit to one another. We commit to those people that are like-minded like us. Yes, don't worry about the divisions in the church, Catholic, Anglican, Protestants, whatever, Pentecostal. Don't worry about that. At the end of the day, where our heart is and where our mind is, that's where our treasure is, and that's where we will be committing. We are united by one God, one Spirit, and the Word of God. So that is on the spirit aspect of it. Let me now come to the physical aspect of our lives. Most of us, I tend to think, struggle with the elements of this physical life. One of the things I could say, for example, exercise. It's one of the things I would like to do. It's one of the things I would like to keep this body fit. I would like to be able to go out there and do some walking, exercise my body. I would like to be able to eat healthy. Now, in the spirit sense, you need also to be able to eat healthy, the Word of God. And on the other side, we need to be able to do things that build that relationship, that shows that we are cultivating that commitment. Now, when it comes to the physical being, there are also things that we need to be able to do to cultivate commitment, like I said, to ourselves and to others. For me personally, when it comes to exercising, I find that to be a very difficult job. But my body needs to be remaining healthy. It needs to be exercised and to remain healthy. Karibu sana Susan Mwangi, and you're saying you're tuning in from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And karibu sana Grace Nyambu, you're saying you're tuning in, or you have tuned in. Karibu sana. And Liz Ndegwa, karibuni sana. So what am I talking about? Today I'm talking about cultivating something we call commitment. Commitment is like I'm saying I'm going to do this thing, and I'm going to do it because it has some benefits on this side of life and on the other side of life, because I normally look at the whole picture holistically. Yeah, I am a spiritual being as well as a physical being. I've already talked about our commitment in the relationship with God and with others in terms of the spiritual life. That's sorted. Once that is sorted, I believe the rest of it can be so much easier. Now, I'm talking about the physical aspect of commitment. I don't know what it is that you struggle with. There are so many things we struggle with. I know of some members of my family who struggle with alcoholism. I know some people who also struggle with other forms of addiction. I know that people can be struggling to stay healthy, to eat healthy, to do things that are physical that helps them to remain healthy. But we need to be able to cultivate commitment to ourselves so that we can be able to have this healthy life. No one else will come from elsewhere to be able to help us to live that healthy life in the physical sense. It must begin with us. We must encourage ourselves. We must inspire ourselves to be able to deal with the physical aspects of our lives that are not helpful for us, that are not encouraging us to grow into the healthy person that we need to. We do know what it is to stay healthy. We do know what it is to eat healthy food. We do know why it is healthy for us to exercise. We do know why it is healthy for us to be able to see our doctor when we are not feeling well. We know. One of the things why we keep our bodies healthy. We keep it for ourselves so that it can house again the spirit that God gave us while we are here on earth. But at the same time, when we stay healthy, mothers can be able to raise children, fathers can be able to raise children, we can be able to build communities, we can be able to build a nation, we can be able to have quality time spent here on earth with our families when we keep our bodies healthy. Commitment and cultivating commitment as per the body. I'm saying it can be difficult, but we can encourage ourselves to stay healthy. So I'm talking to you and I'm talking to myself today that thing that you've been struggling with in the physical sense that is stopping you from committing to a healthier you and a healthier nation and a healthier community, please, let's encourage one another and let's do it together so that we can cultivate commitment in a way that brings a full joy in our lives. Thank you so much. Now, let me move on now to the intellect part of it. Now, one of my friends today is going to graduate, and congratulations to Tabitha Sindani as you graduate today with your PhD. Asante sana, may God bless you for that invitation, but unfortunately I couldn't be there today, but I'm praying that everything goes well. When it comes to the intellect, I am reminded and I'm taken back to the days when I was in primary school. Okay, let's start from the nursery school. Some people call it the kindergarten. When I was in the kindergarten, when I was in the primary school, to me, school was a playground. I went to school because I was going to play with my friends. The item or the idea of education didn't really quite ring. It didn't really sit well with me. I didn't know why I was there exactly. I just knew school was a place where parents sent their children. And if you had good friends, then you went and had fun. You had a wonderful time playing, and learning as well was fun. If your teachers didn't cane you, then school was fun. And I've seen here in the West as well, school is fun, particularly nursery, lower primary, it can be fun. So the commitment there, the issue of commitment, except that it's coming from our parents, the issue of personal commitment wasn't there for me when I was in the lower primary. But as you mature, as you grow older, you realize that it's important that you commit to learn something, regardless of whether it's the rote learning, regardless whether it is the education that seems to be repeating the same things. There are few basics in life that we needed to learn while we were at school, and those needed commitment. So by the time I am in the old system that was doing 7-6-3. So by the time I got to standard 7, I knew somehow I needed to pass an exam. Okay, it was still not sinking very deep, because even on the last day prior to, the eve of the exam, I wasn't well prepared. But somehow I knew I needed to attend school on that particular day, and I needed to sit this exam, and I needed to do my best. Yes, I did the best that I knew how then, but I can tell you again, it wasn't fully commitment. It was just something I was doing because the rest of the people were doing it. So we do need to be able to commit, to cultivate a culture of commitment when it comes to learning things. And when I say intellect, I don't just mean the academic, I mean learning. There's quite a big body of knowledge surrounding us. There are so many things that we can learn from nature, we can learn from the formal settings, we can learn from our parents, we can learn from everything that is surrounding us. That is what I mean by intellect. Intellect to me is anything we acquire as knowledge. When we acquire that knowledge, what do we do with it? We apply that knowledge, and that's how it can be able to help us. Yes, the exams are good, the schools are good, they educate us, but what do we do? As we progress on in high school, as we progress on to university, we realize that we're supposed to narrow that education to a specific, specialized kind of an area that can be applicable in our day-to-day life. But it doesn't always happen like that. I know we have done degrees, we have been educated through the school system, but we end up doing something different from the career that we took. Nothing wrong with that. Whatever it is that you are doing currently right now as a grown-up, That is what you're supposed to be doing, and it's something that somehow you had learned to do. You were committed to learning how to do that thing. If it matters to do with business, if it matters to do with, I don't know, whatever it is that you do for a business, or for bringing in some income, which will be the next point, whatever it is that you are doing right now, you must have been committed to it to be able to learn so that you can be able to do it. So it is difficult sometimes, it's hard, and I want to encourage people who could be going through a difficult time right now in terms of the intellect, thinking that what can I do to be able to learn and learn and learn. I know there are many motivational speakers, I know there are many inspirational speakers, I know there are many points of learning, but what do you do with the knowledge that you have gathered? If you do not apply that knowledge, then it won't go very far. Now that is on the intellect. Now let me come now to the letter C, which is the commercial aspect of life. Commercial aspect of life, I look at it from different angles. I call it the currency of life. Now when we look at the currency of life, I look at love as the spiritual currency. Without love, we cannot be able to commit to our spiritual life, we cannot be able to commit to our physical life, we cannot be able to commit to these other aspects of life without love. Let me put that aside. Now when it comes to commercial aspects of our life, the way we create money and the way we spend the money as well, we do need to have a sense of commitment. Without that sense of commitment, then we can be finding our lives in difficult situation where either we find ourselves in debt, or we find that we are not growing our kind of commercial aspects of our life that may help us to live a more comfortable life. Okay, in the West, people buy houses on mortgage. So if you're not committed in saving that amount of money, you will still be needed to pay a rent. So somehow, somewhere, we cannot be able to escape from the aspect of the commercial life. We need money either to pay for rent, to pay for food, to pay for mortgages, to pay for the everyday life. We cannot be able to escape from this system that was created for us to be able to survive in this life. So what am I saying? If you're still struggling in the areas of commitment in making money, it's important that you go out there and look for a way that you can earn your money genuinely, without stealing from others, without cheating, without corruption, but finding a way in which you can earn clean money, and that clean money will help us to live a more comfortable life. It will help us to have a spiritual life that we know we are not lying to anyone. We know that we are clean before God. We know that we are clean before mankind. That is the commercial aspect of life. It's difficult. If you don't have a job, okay, like I've disappeared for the couple of weeks that I've disappeared because I was seriously looking for work. I need that income. I need some money coming in, and therefore I disappeared for some time just to make sure that I am committed to this process of looking for work, because at the end of the day, I need an income at the end of the month. So I've already looked at the spiritual aspect. I've looked at the physical aspect. I've looked at the intellectual aspect. Now I'm looking at the commercial and moving on to the emotional aspect of our life and commitment, cultivating a sense of commitment. Now, when it comes to our emotions, I hear women struggle more with their emotions than men do, but I think we struggle with our emotions in equal levels. Men and women, both of us, we do struggle with our emotions in the same sense. You can be happy. I don't know whether happiness is an emotion. No. Maybe joy. I don't know. So whatever the way you kind of define emotions, most of the time we will find ourselves talking about emotions in the negative aspect. But I would like us to look at emotions that are happy or positive emotions, as well as the negative emotions. The positive emotions give us the excitement and the joy of everyday life, which is fantastic, and it is very good. But the negative emotions, in as much as we look at them and think, oh, they're not good for us, they help us also to move on with life. You know, if there is something that is bringing an annoyance, if it's something that is bringing a sadness, we are able to cultivate a commitment to something that will pull us away from this thing that is sinking us deeper and deeper. So commitment to the way our emotions are driving us. Are they driving us in the positive direction, or are they driving us towards the negative direction? We need to be able to have a sense of commitment in learning how our emotions drive our lives. And in the process of doing that, we can be able now to understand ourselves and to understand other people. And instead of reacting, we need to be able to respond to situations in a way that will help us to be able to live a more comfortable, a more committed life, to the sense of duty that we have for ourselves, to the sense of duty that we have to God, and for the sense of duty that we have to others. So we need to be able to respond to others amicably or mutually or respectfully, rather than reacting and falling out with other people. Now, last but not least, this is where commitment is also most essential. It's to do with relationships. Relationships with ourselves, relationships with other people, relationships with God, relationship with our world, right? So the last S that I'm talking about here is the social relationships. We cannot live in isolation. We live with other people, like I had started from the very beginning. It's important that once we win the war of commitment, or the battles of commitments to ourselves, then we must remember that this goes hand in hand with other people. So as I come towards the end of the discussion today, I would like to say this. It's important that we build relationships that are long-standing, or rather, they are sustainable. Because once you build those relationships, we can be able to help one another to live in a more comfortable world. Yes, I normally say the first relationship is with God first of all, then with you, and then with other people. Once we win the commitment to that, then life can be much easier. So, in a nutshell, I've been talking about cultivating commitment. It may sound like it's a heavy subject, but it's important that we know it starts from the spiritual, the physical, the intellectual, the commercial, the emotional, and the social aspect of all that. That's the framework I use, and hopefully it will help you to be able to start cultivating commitment. When you cultivate commitment, there are many rewards that come from it. Otherwise, I'm going to stop there, and I will be playing one of the songs by Jeremy Damaris, and that song is to do Ihidane Kinyu. It's time now for us to start growing in commitment and growing in other aspects of our lives, because they do help us to have a quality life and to be able also to live with other people well, and also our own well-being is improved. If you have any questions or any comments, if you have any ideas that you could be wanting me to talk about, please leave a comment below. Leave a comment here, there on the comments below, and we'll be able to come back and discuss some more. So today the topic was on how to cultivate commitment, and I have touched on the frame that I normally use, my frame of spices of life. That's what spices of life stand for: spiritual, physical, intellect, commercial or currency, and then emotional and social aspects of our life. We must start winning with ourselves before we can win with everybody else. Otherwise, stay committed to that thing that you are committed to. The queen has died now. The king needs to pick up the sense of duty. In Kenya, President Ruto has taken on from President Uhuru, and it's time now for them to commit to the new phase of life. Otherwise, thank you so much. Asanteni sana kwa kunisikiliza. Asanteni sana. Na we will play this song Ihidane Kinyu, and then no. I think I'll change that, because that's the one I had played earlier. So I will play this one of yes.
Nawe domukinyaniru utumaga dirire gukaraga denyihetie guguthingata makiria wendo waku ni inde muroyo waliwa ndukareke ngariganĩrwo nĩwe ng'oya wananyonia inde muroyo waliwa amone mathirete aria ginao makoja indi wendo waku Ngai uturaga umenyereire niguo ndikananirwo ni migwi miuru ya ngoma ndukareke ngariganĩrwo nĩwe ng'oya wananyonia indi muroyo waliwa ndukareke ngariganĩrwo nĩwe ng'oya wananyonia indi muroyo waliwa ndamenya kuria nyumite gutiri ngihotire kuruta ngoro ino yakwa hatĩka-inĩ ya mathĩna tiga nĩwe waingĩrĩire ndukareke ngariganĩrwo nĩwe ng'oya wananyonia ĩndĩ muroyo waliwa ndukareke ngariganĩrwo nĩwe ng'oya wananyonia ĩndĩ muroyo waliwa wega waku ũnjigane ũtũre ũndathimĩte ndathimĩra nyũmba yakwa wĩra wa moko makwa maũndũ makwa mothe ndũkareke ngaconoka ndũkareke ngariganĩrwo nĩwe ng'oya wananyonia ĩndĩ muroyo waliwa